Hello, and in this IELTS speaking video, I'm going to look at the Part 2 topic, Describe a person who made you laugh as a child. You should say who the person was, what the person did to make you laugh, why this person made you laugh, and explain how you felt about it. I was struggling to decide who to choose to talk about because, to be perfectly honest, I had a happy childhood and our home was always filled with laughter. My parents both have a great sense of humour and they try to see the bright side of everything and are always ready for a laugh. However, I've decided to talk about my brother in particular because to this day he still makes me laugh. He's a couple of years younger than me, but he's never been an annoying little brother. And we've always got on well with each other. He's much more outgoing than me and likes to be the centre of attention. At parties, he's the life and soul of the party. I'm not a social butterfly and prefer to stay at home. He's the extrovert and I'm the introvert. As a child, I often had my head in a book, whereas he was always joking around. I tend to take life too seriously, so if I came home from school and was in a bad mood because I had failed a test, he always cheered me up. Whenever I'm in a foul mood, there are not many people who know how to make me laugh, but he can. He used to act like an idiot and do stupid things like falling over to make me laugh. He doesn't do that anymore. Nowadays he is incredibly witty and his dry sense of humour makes me laugh out loud. He's a brilliant storyteller, and when he tells me what he's been up to, usually by the end of the story, I'm laughing my head off. Life is short, and most of the time it is pretty rubbish, so having a laugh and seeing the funny side of things is essential. I think I am less uptight because of him and don't get too stressed or anxious about things because he used to make me laugh when bad things happened when we were growing up. I learnt a lot from him and I'm definitely more chilled because of him. Now let's take a look at the language. I've put a lot of language in this topic. Don't think you have to remember everything. I've put a lot of complex language in here to teach you lots of useful language for describing people, so you can use it in other topics. But don't try to remember everything. Don't try to learn everything. You will get stressed and anxious. You must remain chilled and just try to learn 5 or 6 that you maybe think are useful for you, the ones that are easier for you to pronounce. So I'm struggling to decide who to choose to talk about. This is not true at all, but I'm just trying to get some complex grammar in there right from the start. So you really impress the IELTS examiner as soon as you open your mouth in this part 2. Because if you start with, I'm going to talk about my brother, it's not impressive. So start with something like, I was struggling to decide who to choose. I had a happy childhood. Our home was always filled with laughter. So it's a house where people are always laughing, filled with laughter. Now I've put have or had because maybe your parents have sadly died, so you need to use the past tense. A great sense of humour. We talk about a sense of humour. You can have a great sense of humour. You may have heard the expression a wicked sense of humour. This is quite a dark, bad sense of humour, but you can still use that, and these are very good collocations. To try to see the bright side of everything. This means to see, even in bad situations, to see the positive, to see something funny, even when things are bad. To try to see the bad side of everything. And were or are always ready for a laugh. If you are ready for a laugh, or if a person you know is ready for a laugh, it means they're always quick to laugh at something. I've decided to talk about my brother because I want to get some present perfect in there as well, which impresses the IELTS examiner in particular. So I'm just focusing in on him now, because to this day, and it means up until this point, up to now, to this day, he still makes me laugh. So you need to know to make me laugh for this topic. We've always got on really well with each other, so we have a good relationship to get on well with someone. He's more outgoing. If somebody's outgoing, they're more confident, they're more sociable than you. So outgoing is a very useful adjective to describe somebody who's confident. He likes to be the centre of attention. So if there's a party, it's the person in the centre who everybody wants to talk to or wants to spend time with. The life and soul of the party. So it's a person who brings energy, brings life to the party. I'm not a social butterfly. A social butterfly is a person who likes going out a lot and spending time with other people, going to parties. He's the extrovert, I'm the introvert. These are opposites. An extrovert, this is the noun, is a very confident, outgoing person. An introvert is a very shy person lacking in confidence. And we have the adjectives extroverted and introverted. So very useful. I often had my head in a book. To have your head in a book is an idiomatic expression, and it means I was often reading. He was always joking around. If somebody is joking around, they're having fun. I tend to, remember to use the verb tend to if possible, to take life too seriously. So when you're very serious about things, you're not always ready for a laugh or always having fun. When I was in a bad mood, and this means you're angry, upset about something, to be in a bad mood. So because I'd failed a test, past perfect here, he always cheered me up. To cheer someone up means to make them happy, to make them feel better. So we've already had to be in a bad mood. This is even stronger and more complex, to be in a foul mood. Foul means very, very bad. So when you're in a very bad mood, whenever I'm in a foul mood. He used to act like an idiot, a stupid person. So doing stupid things like falling over like this person here. But nowadays he's incredibly witty. Witty is a useful word, and it means funny, humorous, but in an intelligent way. So it's someone who uses humour very intelligently. Dry sense of humour is someone who says things that are funny or who does things that are funny, but not in an obvious way. It's quite dry. Some people don't find this kind of humour funny, but I personally do. So it's a different kind of humour, a bit like Ricky Gervais. He's got quite a dry sense of humour. And it makes me laugh out loud. To laugh out loud is when you're laughing and you can hear the laugh because you're laughing out loud. He's a brilliant storyteller, so he's good at telling stories. Now here you've got a choice. Tell me what he's been up to. That's very good for your lexical resource. To be up to something means to do something. Or what he's been doing. That would be very good for your grammar because you've got the present perfect continuous. You could use both, what he's been up to and what he's been doing. Just throw everything in there if you remember it. I'm laughing my head off. This is an idiomatic expression. To laugh your head off means to laugh a lot. To laugh, you're really laughing very strongly. To laugh your head off. So life is rubbish. That's saying it's bad. Having a laugh, so having fun, seeing the funny side of things, so always looking for the humour even in bad situations. It's essential, it's important. I'm less uptight. An uptight person is somebody who's always kind of very anxious, almost angry all of the time, and doesn't relax very well, and because of my brother having this great sense of humour and making me laugh and always seeing the funny side of things, I'm less uptight, so I'm less controlled and less angry about things. And I don't get too stressed or anxious, worried about things. Because he used to make me laugh when bad things happened when we were growing up. Very good past continuous here. I'm definitely more chilled. Chilled is a very informal word used by young people in the UK, and it means relaxed. So you're so relaxed, you're like cool, you're chilled. Like I said, a huge amount of language in this answer. You wouldn't be able to remember all of this and get it in, but try to pick out, I don't know, 5 to 10 at most that you think are useful, and particularly the ones for describing people, because you could use these for other topics. Any topic. If you're describing a time when you went out with friends, you can use some of these to talk about your friends. Build up a list of idiomatic, complex expressions for describing people, and try, if at all possible, to get them into your Part 2 answer, because they're really, really useful. Let's have a look now at a Part 3 question connected with this topic. So because this topic is connected with childhood, they may ask you a question about childhood. Do you think childhood is the most important part of a person's development? Oh, I'm not entirely sure. That's quite a deep question. Off the top of my head, and I'm not a psychologist, but yes, it probably is. If someone has a happy and stable childhood, then I guess they are more likely to be contented in adulthood. But I'm no expert, so I may be wrong. Now, a lot of these IELTS questions are quite deep questions, and this is a psychological question that if you've studied psychology, you would know the answer to, but most of us haven't studied psychology, and so a very useful way to start your answer is, I'm not entirely sure, that's quite a deep question. Now, if they're asking you about should museums charge for admission, that's not a deep question. But this, because it's about psychology, because it's about childhood and parenting, it is a deep question, so quite a serious question. Off the top of my head, really useful for Part 3 because you're having to think of answers very quickly, and so you're saying like the first thing that comes into your head, and instead of saying the first thing that springs to mind, which every other IELTS candidate says, or the first thing that comes to mind, use this. It's more complex. It's more natural for an English speaker to say. Off the top of my head, I'm not a psychologist, but yes, it probably is. If someone has a happy and stable childhood, this means it's very balanced, there's equilibrium, there's not a lot of ups and downs, it's stable childhood. They're more likely to be contented. Contented means happy. Adulthood, so we've got the noun childhood, adulthood. But I'm no expert, so it's saying I'm not an expert. We can say I'm no expert, so I may be wrong. You don't have to give 10 sentences in Part 3 because here I'm explaining why I don't really know the answer to this question, but I'm using some very complex language to do so. Now you might argue the opposite, and this person here, Kinky Friedman, says a happy childhood is the worst possible preparation for life because you haven't had any difficulties, so when you have difficult situations in the future, then you don't know how to deal with them. You don't know how to handle them. So you might want to add that as well. Hope you found this useful. Sorry it was so jam-packed full of vocabulary. Don't be too overwhelmed. Just at least try and get at least 5 words and expressions from this video into your Part 2 answer. And you can probably get them in regardless of the topic. Thank you for watching.